Hey y'all, it's entry number 3 of this off-season series where we discuss a different player's fantasy value each day as a group. We are another day closer to the start of the 2022 NFL season. In each of these entries, I will cover one player and go through some of their positives, some of their concerns, and provide my personal opinion on their 2022 fantasy value at the end. Today's entry will be on Damien Harris, running back on the New England Patriots. The good with Damien Harris. To start, we gotta talk about how much of a red zone threat Damien Harris was during the 2021 NFL season. During the 2021 season, Damien Harris scored 15 rushing touchdowns, which ranks second in the NFL, along with James Conner, behind Indianapolis Colts running back Jonathan Taylor. He was one of the most utilized backs in the red zone in the league, seeing 44 carries inside the 20, which was the 5th most in the NFL, 30 carries inside the 10, 2nd most in the NFL, and 14 carries inside the 5, 3rd most in the NFL, according to Pro Football Reference. Not many players get this amount of red zone touches, which raises Harris's appeal in fantasy leagues. Another positive aspect of Damien Harris's fantasy profile is that he plays behind an above-average offensive line. The New England Patriots will be bringing back 3 of their 5 offensive line starters from the 2021 season in 2022, Isaiah Wynn, David Andrews, and Trent Brown. The 2 starters that they lost were right guard Shaq Mason, who left to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and left guard Ted Karras, who left to join the Cincinnati Bengals. Replacing Mason as a starter will be Michael Onwenu, who posted an elite 87.0 PFF grade across 647 offensive snaps last year. And replacing left guard Ted Karras as a starter will be 2022 first-round pick Cole Strange. Even with a couple of changes, the New England Patriots offensive line should be solid once again and make it easier for Damien Harris to put up numbers. The last part of Damien Harris's fantasy profile that seems positive is that he's an efficient runner. Damien Harris has been pretty efficient as a runner over the course of his NFL career, averaging 4.6 yards per carry in 2021 and 4.8 yards per carry over the course of his entire NFL career. He had 14 carries of 15 or more rushing yards in 2021, which ranked as the 5th most in the NFL according to Player Profiler. He is clearly a guy that the Patriots can trust on the ground. Moving on to some of the concerns with Damien Harris. For starters, the New England Patriots backfield is crowded as hell. If you've been playing in the same fantasy league for a while, chances are that someone mentions the "don't draft a Patriots running back" idea every year after a Patriots running back goes off the board during your fantasy draft. They've gotten that reputation because the Patriots change their running back usage from week to week a lot more frequently than other teams. The New England Patriots running back room is looking pretty deep going into the 2022 NFL season, with Damien Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, James White, and rookie Pierre Strong Jr., all looking like capable options for the team. So, if Damien Harris struggles at any point during the year, it may be easier for the Patriots to decide to give his touches to one of these other capable backs than some other teams would around the league. Patriots offensive play caller situation. Longtime Patriots offensive coordinator and play caller Josh McDaniels left this offseason to become the Las Vegas Raiders head coach, and brought along a few Patriots offensive assistants along with him that could have potentially served as the team's new offensive play caller. In response to this situation, the Patriots decided not to hire an official offensive coordinator at all this offseason, and leave it a mystery who would call the plays on offense. There's been speculation that Joe Judge and Matt Patricia are the lead candidates to operate as the de facto offensive coordinator on game days. But regardless of who it is, they will likely be a downgrade from Josh McDaniels calling the plays. Lack of pass catching upside. In the passing game, Damien Harris has totaled 23 receptions on 28 targets for 184 receiving yards over the course of his entire career. Considering the Patriots still have James White on the roster to operate as the primary pass-catching back, it's unlikely that Harris sees his workload increase much here. He will likely have near non-existent passing game upside again in 2022, which limits his appeal in any PPR formats. Some additional thoughts and info on Damien Harris. Damien Harris posted a broken tackle rate of 12.9% in 2021, according to RotoWire. In 2021, Damien Harris was the RB8 in standard, RB13 in .5 PPR, and RB14 in PPR formats. In 2020, Damien Harris was the RB44 in standard, RB50 in .5 PPR formats, and RB53 in PPR formats. Personal opinion. Damien Harris is currently going off the board as RB30 on ESPN, about pick 93 overall, and RB25 on Yahoo, about pick 66 overall. He's a very good real-life player, but you shouldn't go chasing last year's top 15 fantasy production from him. From a fantasy perspective, it's going to be hard for him to match last year's performance with his lack of pass catching, his competition in the backfield, and some likely touchdown regression. I think it's fine to consider him in this range for standard league scoring settings, but for PPR formats, his style of play doesn't translate as well due to the lack of receiving work, and it's probably better to target someone else. For each of these entries, we include a charitable cause or organization that the player is passionate about. In my brief research online, I couldn't find an organization or charity that Damien Harris supports officially. So, here's a link to his teammate Isaiah Wynn's My Cause My Cleats in 2021, which was for the Alzheimer's Association. And that's it for today's entry on Damien Harris. If you have a player that you'd like to see covered, drop a comment below.